folks, welcome aboard the channel. I'm Don. I hope all the folks down in Australia are doing well because I got a song from one of your own, and it's a gift request of Harry Workmon, who's one of our own up here in the States. He's down in Arkansas. The hat, courtesy of Harry Workmon. The gift request, courtesy of Harry Workmon. So no, I don't see these big divisions. I know some folks are born in different countries, and that's the way the world works. But as far as people go, we have a heart, a mind. We're trying to make it through this life the best we can. Nonetheless, we have Dianne Lindsay, Living in the Shadow of the Horseshoe. I don't know this song. Harry, thank you for the gift and this request. And Harry said this, Don, another new Aussie artist for you. I think Dianne did backup vocals on the song about the Goobra River, but this will be her first time on the channel as lead vocalist. This song will hit home with a lot of veterans. That's what Harry wrote. So Harry, thank you for that. We're going to find out what we've got here from Dianne. And the Aussies like Slim Dusty and others, you know, his wife Joy McKean and their kids, just all beautiful, beautiful performers. All right, here we go. Dianne Lindsay.
Lord, I have to talk to someone about this man of mine. I've been holding it back for a long time now. I'm afraid I'm gonna lose my mind. It's driving me to desperation. I don't think I can take any more. His problems, they come from a long way back, brought on by the Vietnam War. He's living in the shadow of the Horseshoe, somewhere in Vietnam. I know that it's driving him crazy, though he acts like he don't give a damn. At times he looks at me strangely through the eyes of a haunted man, and I know he's back there in the Horseshoe, somewhere in Vietnam.
What was the Horseshoe? I hadn't heard that before. A region?
Sometimes at night when he's sleeping and the weather has been quite warm, he screams out loud and he writhes in his bed like a man whose soul's being torn. He uses that army language and calls to some ghostly man, a friend he once lost who paid the full cost in a paddy field in Vietnam. He's living in the shadow of the Horseshoe, somewhere in Vietnam. I know that it's driving him crazy, though he acts like he don't give a damn. At times he looks at me strangely through the eyes of a haunted man, and I know he's back there in the Horseshoe, somewhere in Vietnam.
Families pay a price. It's just ugly business for what it does to the psyche.
He's living in the shadow of the Horseshoe, somewhere in Vietnam. I know that it's driving him crazy, though he acts like he don't give a damn. At times he looks at me strangely through the eyes of a haunted man, and I know he's back there in the Horseshoe, somewhere in Vietnam.
suffer that kind of trauma, and our minds are wired for pattern recognition, that you cannot make sense of why you're fighting for your life and you're killing others in order to fight for your own life in a foreign land. I'm talking about those who fought there in Vietnam. And you can't make sense of it. And your mind continues to try to make sense of it. You don't want to make sense of this new reality of yours while you're there. So when you come back and now you're not fighting for your life, but you don't, you import that element of your psyche that's still trying to make sense of what happened. And it winds up causing you to revisit in your dreams, sometimes during the day, the horrors that were there. Because the brain cannot make sense of, now that you're in a more civil place, which is back on your home soil, whether it's Australia or the US or whichever country you were born in and sent to Vietnam for, or any war really, but in this case Vietnam, your mind is trying to make sense of what happened, and it can't. And I don't know which is the myth. I don't know if civility is the myth or war is the myth. I don't know which is more misguided, because human beings, generally speaking, we prefer to have the civility. We prefer life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Nobody's allowed to come in and just take your stuff unreasonably. All this stuff that's in the Bill of Rights in the United States, and other countries have their similar documents. Not all countries, in fact, most don't. But what happens is during those times of peace, if you will, and generally getting out to live your life, what happens in countries like that is and this is just sociologists and demographers and such, this is just established, that our death rates are lower in times of peace, but then they shoot up very quickly in times of war. So it evens out in a sense versus what takes place in nature or in quote unquote less civilized countries. And that is, it's not, well, it is a dichotomy, but it is something that the human psyche has difficulty making sense of, because you have like tranquility, and then all of a sudden you're in a rice paddy fighting for your life, and you're seeing people dying around you, your friends. You make it back eventually, and now you're in this place of civility, and now your psyche cannot make sense of it. It's trying to, because the mind keeps trying to put things into its boxes. It's like divorce. After you get divorced, you try to make sense of it. Or after you go through, let's say you get fired from a job and you didn't see it coming for quite a while, you're trying to make sense of, what could I have done differently? What did they do me wrong on? What was the dynamic at work? And you may never make full sense of it. In divorce, you don't. And that is the beauty, the wonder, and the challenge and the energy drain of the human psyche, is trying to make sense of things, which is another way of saying pattern recognition. We're trying to put things in their boxes so we can explain things to ourselves. And these songs make, because I think of this a lot. I mean, I used to go for walks with a gentleman in my neighborhood back in Jersey. Rich was his name. He and his brother were both sent to Vietnam, and they both made it back. And his brother was a helicopter pilot, and Rich was not. He was an infantryman. But his brother wound up having just absolute, in the middle of the night, waking up screaming, punching the walls, and all this sort of stuff, just freaking out. And the only one who could control him on any level was Rich, the guy that I used to go for walks on. And he would tell me stories. The parents couldn't control him. Nobody could really control him, but he was so damaged. And, Rich used to tell me a few things, not a whole bunch of things, but he would tell me about how hard it was, on Rich to see his brother this way. But he would have to go into the room when his brother was freaking and like grab him and hold him and just keep him from punching the walls and all that stuff. And the nightmares. And that was because he's trying to make sense of it, and you can't. And what is it about us human beings where we will lash out when we can't make sense of things? Confusion is painful. Even on a regular basis, we don't conceptualize it as painful. We see heartbreak as painful. We get in a car accident, there's pain. Maybe we hurt ourselves or whatever, but we don't see our inability to make sense of things as painful. But it is. It's an energy drain. Anyway, this one got me off and running. I'm not rating that one, Harry. Good Lord. But I like Dianne's voice, her delivery. I like the simplicity of the instrumentation. The drums seem to have that brush thingy on it just to keep it subdued, but she covered it pretty darn well. War extends way beyond the people involved, but to the families, to the friends, to the teachers who taught them in first and second grade, knowing that they're going off and all that they implanted and instilled in their students might be gone or might not be enough to get them through this, and it won't. It affects a lot of folks. So I'm going to leave it at that. Harry, thank you, my friend. And to all those who have served and suffer or have suffered as family members or former service members, I feel for you in however way I can feel. There you go. Have a great day, folks. I'll see you in another video and keep rocking the country.
He uses that army language and calls to some ghostly man, a friend he once lost who paid the full cost in a paddy field in Vietnam.